Howdy everyone, NETV here with some more Pokémon Colosseum. Last episode, we basically found out that we need to go on over to where Cipher is, which is right over here at Relgum Tower. Because they finally completed the construction of it, and that's Cipher's base. But before we do that, I'm going to head over to Agate Village, because I have some purifications I need to do. So, I'm going to be purifying the 6 Pokemon that I caught at the Shadow Pokemon Lab because I managed to get their heart gauges lowered. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to be giving the rundown of what my plan is for this episode. This is just going to be a side questing episode, really, because Relgum Tower is coming up and I need to prepare for that. So what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to be going back to Fennec City, Pyrite Town, and the Under because there's Colosseums there that I want to challenge. And yeah, it's basically free experience. Well, not free experience because you're battling for it, but it's going to be a ton of experience. You get money for winning the Colosseum challenges, and also you get TMs, which some of them are actually pretty helpful, but I will go over that once we get to those respective Colosseums, because there is a lot. Like, there's like a total of 12 TMs you can get there, or at the Colosseums in total. So yeah, and geez, there's a lot of just seeing the whole like purification animation. It's a lot of purifications for Pokemon I'm not even going to be using, but purifying them. I mean, if you want to do like 100% the game, you're going to need to purify all the Shadow Pokemon. So yeah, and Vibrava also. Fun fact, I used Vibrava last time I played through this game. Pretty helpful. But, yeah. With that, let's move on to the Colosseums. The first one on the list, actually, is Fennec Colosseum. So the Fennec Colosseum, if you don't remember where it is, it's all the way at the very end of town. Or is it city? Is it Fennec City? Yes, it's Fennec City, so it's at the end of the city, even though it's not really that big to be a city, but whatever. Right in here. And the way I'm going to be handling the Colosseum challenges is I'm just going to be speeding through them. And there's 4 different cycles whenever you go into a Colosseum, and they go in order from like Cycle 1, Cycle 2, Cycle 3, Cycle 4. Each cycle has different trainers with different Pokemon, so yeah. I'm going to be speeding through all of them at the same time, showing it all off here, and I'm going to be listing off the rewards that you can get at each Colosseum. So, in order, the TMs that you can get here in the Fennec Colosseum, you can get TM 18 Rain Dance, and that could come in handy if you're using water types. Then TM 11 Sunny Day, which, there's not that many fire types to use in the game besides like Lava, so that might not come in handy. And then next up is TM 19 Giga Drain. If this were Giga Drain in the later generations, like in Generation 5 onwards where Giga Drain is boosted, then I could recommend Giga Drain, but it's just not strong enough in this generation to warrant using. That goes for grass moves in general. They're just not that good in this game, but whatever. And then next up is TM 22 Solar Beam, which it could work in tandem with Sunny Day, but otherwise it's not worth using. Anyways, the Fennec Colosseum is the easiest of the 3 Colosseums I'm showing off in this video, because you're finding Pokemon in like the low 40s, so you could have realistically done this Colosseum like early on in the game. Like, the earliest I'd recommend going through this Colosseum is probably like after you fight Dakim in Mount Battle, just because you're not going to be seeing a whole lot of like strong Pokemon here. You're just going to be seeing like a lot of like base forms. So yeah, this is kind of like a little warm-up Colosseum. This not counting the Pyrite Colosseum when you have to go through it in the main story, because that place is easy. But whatever. We get money and TMs for beating this Colosseum, so yeah. well, anyways, after that, our next Colosseum is going to be the Pirate Colosseum. The Pirate Colosseum, like I said before, it's required to go through in the main story, so I'm not really counting that or that run through in showing off going through the Pirate Colosseum for reals, because after you defeat Mirror B, that's when the Pirate Colosseum ups in difficulty. And I wouldn't recommend going into that Colosseum until probably about this point in the game, just because the levels that you can find here are actually considerably tougher. So, yeah, Pirate Colosseum, we're back here. Now let me tell you, this episode, recording all of these Colosseum footages and then just editing down, that was very time consuming. But anyways, the TMs that you can get here at the Pirate Colosseum, first off, again, in order that you can get them through, which I should clarify, like, the top left, that's the first cycle, then top right is the second cycle, bottom left is the third cycle, then bottom right is the fourth cycle. It goes in that order, just so I'm clear on that. But anyways, the TMs that you can get in order, there's TM01 Focus Punch. I don't know why I said the 01, but TM1 Focus Punch. The way Focus Punch works is you charge up, and then at the end of the turn you unleash a really strong attack, but if you get hit while you're charging up, then you basically waste a turn. So you might need to do some setting up with Focus Punch, like say, like paralyzing or confusing the opponent to make it easier for you to charge up, or putting up like a substitute or whatever, or having a Pokemon follow me. Focus Punch, if you know how to use it, it's a really good attack. Anyways, the next TM that you can get is TM7 Hail. I don't think there's any ice types that you can use here besides Sneasel that can make use of Hail, and Hail doesn't even do anything except for damage non-ice types. Not worth it in my opinion. But next up is TM5 Roar. Roar basically makes you go last in the turn that you use it, but it forces your opponent to switch. And that could come in handy if you're like, if your second Pokemon in the battle is like Fortress, so you can set up spikes and then use Roar, or if you're just like not in a good matchup. So Roar, I could see you using, because it is pretty handy. But the next TM, TM31 Brick Break, that is one that I recommend using, especially if you're using a Pokemon like Hitmontop, because Hitmontop doesn't really get good same type attack bonus moves. So Brick Break, that was my main reason for going here to the Pirate Colosseum, because I really need to get rid of Triple Kick. So yeah, Brick Break. And also Brick Break has the added effect of getting rid of Light Screen and Reflect, so that can come in handy too. Brick Break is probably the best move that you can get in the Pirate Colosseum at the very least. But yeah, the Pirate Colosseum, pretty difficult because you're finding Pokemon like in the low 50s, which is higher level than anything we've seen up until this point in the game. So yeah, I think it's actually higher than most of the Pokemon you can fight in Welcome Tower, but it's experience. It's experience that I'm not willing to run out on, because my Pokemon definitely need it. Also, like, between going through the Colosseums, I would use the prize money that I would win to buy like supplies like Hyper Potions, Revives, and Lemonades. So yeah, because money is kind of limited in this game, just because there aren't that many trainers, unless you like decide to go back and fight like the trainers in the Duel Square or other places. But like, there's not really that much money for you to get besides that or fighting through the Colosseums. So yeah, I definitely need to stock up on items before Welcome Tower anyways. Yeah, we're pretty much almost done here with the Pirate Colosseum. Now, the next Colosseum, though, whenever we get to it, that's the Under Colosseum. Also, Vio learned Psychic, so that turns like Vio into a powerhouse. But anyways, the Under Colosseum, that one, that one was fun to go through. And if it wasn't obvious, I'm going through these in post-commentary. But yeah, the Under Colosseum, out of the 3 Colosseums here that I'm showing off, it's the most difficult in terms of levels, and some of the Pokemon that you can fight here are, like, they are pretty difficult if you're not ready for them. So, yeah. Anyways, onwards to the Colosseum challenges, and talking about the TMs that you can get here. The first TM that you can win is TM37 Sandstorm. Unfortunately, this is before Sandstorm gets a buff in Generation 4, where it boosts the special defense of rock types by 50%. But Sandstorm here, it just damages non-ground rock or steel types or Pokemon with Sand Veil as an ability. Because Cacturne is none of those types, but it is immune to Sandstorm. So, there is that. But Sandstorm, I wouldn't really recommend that either. I mean, all of the weather TMs that you can get in this game, I don't really recommend. But next up is TM36 Sludge Bomb. It's actually a pretty good poison type attack. It has a chance of poisoning the opponent. If one of your Pokemon can learn it, I would say consider using Sludge Bomb, just because the ability to poison and deal a decent amount of damage is pretty handy. Next up is TM30, which is Shadow Ball. Now, this is, again, before Generation 4, so Shadow Ball, it's kind of weird. It has the effect of lowering the opponent's special defense, but this is in the generation before the physical special split, so because Shadow Ball is a ghost type move, it's a physical attack, but it lowers special defense. Crunch also has that distinction, I think, where it's a special attack, but it lowers defense. But it was fixed. Both of those moves were fixed in Generation 4, so yeah. Anyways, the last TM that you can win here in the Under Colosseum is TM23 Iron Tail. Iron Tail does a good amount of damage, but it's a steel type, so this is before fairy types existed, yada yada yada. So steel types don't really have the best type coverage in the game, and besides that, Iron Tail's accuracy, I think it's like 75% accurate, so not really worth using in my opinion. And also, Iron Tail, it does have the added effect of occasionally boosting your defense by 50%, so if you want a move that, like, I can maybe recommend Iron Tail, but like, yeah, if you want a move that does a decent amount of damage and has that effect, and you're willing to forego the 75% accuracy, then maybe teach Iron Tail, but it's not going to be getting super effective on very many things. I think it's only super effective against rock and ice. Is there anything else Steel is super effective against? I don't think so, at least not in this game, because fairy types don't exist, and they're not everywhere, so yeah. Anyways, this Colosseum is the toughest, like I've said. Like, you're finding things in the mid-50s, and you're finding things that are, like, you're finding some final forms here and there. So, if you're having trouble here, like, at the levels I'm at, then it's a bit understandable. I just felt like I was prepared enough to go through this Colosseum with what I was running. So, yeah, and also, like, occasionally throughout these Colosseums, I would just switch into Chester, just because Chester, like, he takes the longest to level up. I mean, because he's already far behind, and also, like, the experience it takes for Chester to get a level compared to Sky is kind of different. So, yeah, that's why, like, I occasionally just switch out to Chester without it being, like, really necessary. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for all of the Colosseum challenges. Again, it's a really good experience, because the Railgun Tower is coming up, so I wanted to get as much experience as I felt I could get without, like, grinding up or going to Mount Battle, because I will be going through Mount Battle later on, but I want to show it off all at once. But Mount Battle is also a really good place for you to get some experience if you feel like you need it. I'm just going to be doing that way later. So yeah, Colosseums. Now there is another Colosseum, but it's not available right now. I will say that. So I'll be showing that off once it does become available, because I mean, it's kind of required, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, we showed off all the Colosseums here. So, yeah. I don't know what else to talk about in this episode. I mean, I guess I could just, like, maybe... I don't know. Because, yeah, we have, like, a little bit of runtime left here. Well, you know what? I guess I'll just end it off here. So anyways, with that done, we purified Shadow Pokemon. We also showed off all 3 Colosseums, so all that's left to do is take on the Relgam Tower. So with that, I'll see you there. We're going to be taking on Cipher's base. So, later. But not before I show off one more purification.